This is a Jmix exclusive.
I don't think so. I don't know actually where they got that from. Because before, I didn't have a basement when they had that. I was at that time still living in the projects. And then by the time BT had that show, I moved from the project to apartment in on Riverside Drive, which is it's like a condo that was near the water. So I didn't have a basement at that time. So they got that concept from somebody else. I don't really know where they got it from, but it was brilliant.
What was the fallout between you and Kid Capri?
I mean, basically it was based over, to me, I think it was slightly jealousy. I love Kid Capri. I watched him grow, and I had wanted to be like him at one point in time in my career. And I think that what created that was his management at that time was involving me in shows. He was getting me shows, and I think it brought a slight bit of intention between us two. And then one day I got a call from a promoter and said she wanted to throw a Kid Capri birthday party, and she wanted me to be the DJ. And I was happy as hell. I was like, yo, this is incredible. I'm down for it. And then all of a sudden, maybe like 2-3 hours later, she called me and said, it's a problem. And I said, what can the problem be? And then she said, Kid Capri said that 2 headliners can DJ in the same party. And I felt insulted. Because I was like, well, how is this possible? I didn't DJ with the best. I didn't DJ with Star Child, Love Bus Starsky, Red Alert. I done did it all with it, the best of the best. How can this possibly be happening? And she was just like, you need to talk to your friend, Kid Capri. So when I called him, I was like, Kid, what's wrong? What I'm hearing shouldn't be, what I'm hearing. I shouldn't be hearing this. And then he started just going up. He was just upset. He was like, yo, I don't like your management. I don't like what y'all doing. I'm the first DJ with a manager, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, that's not something that we should be focused on. Like, let's get this money. And then from there escalated into other situations, problems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, we start having arguments in the streets and venues and clubs and so on and so on. And then, it got kind of bad. And then eventually, we had to separate this because people were coming to me saying, Ron, we will support you and whatever. We don't know why this, you're the up and coming young guy, and he might be slightly jealous. So, y'all shouldn't be beefing. So I kind of was going through a lot with him at one time, and then eventually we just squashed it, But it stemmed from a party. That was the original problem, and I just think he was just a little bit upset at me moving in his dome. You know how it be. You know how that stuff goes. So, and I think that's where it stems from.
And not to still be on Kid Capri, but other than him in those days, who was your main competition?
In them days, my main competition was Kid Capri. He was my only competition because he was the one who had that creative sound that I was going after. I was going after that sound, that style. But what I did was I created my own through the similarities of what he was doing. Instead of me doing what he did, I did something similar, but have my own thing with it. So it was like, okay, I'm doing something that he done already, but I'm adding on, and it goes back to what I was telling you about the V13. Instead of having 2, I had 3. If he either had 3, I would have 4. That's just the way competition is. So he was my only competition.
How do you feel about DJs at the time that were more concerned with getting an unreleased song than an exclusive verse?
Well, that brought a whole new style of music to the mixtapes. That was lack of creativity. It was based on hearing something new before it come out. And I didn't think of it as something that was being brought to the DJ industry. I didn't think it was a bad thing. I just thought that it was good, but sometimes people want to hear your own creativity. And when that came in play, it slightly changed the DJ industry, because people not only they didn't want to hear your creativity anymore. They wanted to hear a record that they knew was coming out tomorrow. But if they heard it today, they was happy for that. Versus, you know, me taking a record that's out and making it to something better. And that's where the transition happened. So people became more interested in what gonna be coming out next week versus, oh, I heard this before, but this sounds different. And that's what changed the DJ industry.
Now, you've had plenty of exclusive features. Have you ever had to pay for one?
Oh no, I never had to, because my mixtapes were so popular that artists wanted to be a part of them. That was a blessing that I have. I helped launch artists' careers that way. So, and people knew that, and I was credited for that. Like, I'm in DMX book, I'm in Mace book, I'm in Vibe Hip Hop History book, Miss Jones book. I'm in a lot of people books, and it Decoded, Jay-Z Decoded. And at that time, I didn't have to do that, because artists knew that if they got on a Ron G tape, that their songs will get heard by millions of people. And that would create them a door by itself. So I didn't have to do that. Everybody would come to my studio. Like, every day I had a different rapper at my studio. That's why I had so many freestyles and songs, and I still have them. Like, I got a catalog and all kinds of stuff of songs from late 80s to now, of music that just, with a lot of artists' vocals and my production behind it.
So wait a second, you got like a whole vault full of unreleased gems still to drop?
Most of them I put out. Most of them. Most of them was put out on mixtapes, because at that time that was the main goal. Put out on a mixtape so that way that artist, rapper, would be heard, and that will create a fan base for them.
Can you tell us about your relationship with Christopher Wallace and the story of how you met him?
Oh, Biggie?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I met Biggie. Let me think about actually how I met Biggie. I'm trying to figure out. I don't even remember how I met Biggie, but I do know that Biggie was a rapper that I heard was coming up, and I think the first song I heard from Biggie was a remix he was on Super Cat, and I was like, yo, this guy here is a new artist coming up from New York. He's crazy, and there wasn't no deals inked in, because I was already inside Puff Daddy, Sean Combs' circle at that time. I was already involved in the circle. So I knew who he was dealing with, what he was coming with. I knew all of that. A lot of people don't know that me and Puff, at the earlier days of his career, before he launched Bad Boy, when he was at Uptown Records, I was, working with him. I was going to see him a lot. He would call me to his office, and, we were real tight. And so I knew Biggie was coming. I knew he was going to be an artist that Puff was interested in. So at that time, when I heard the Supercat remix, I was like, oh, I got to get this guy on a mixtape. You see what I'm saying? I was like, I got to get him to do it first for me. He's gonna be out of here. I knew he was going to blow. He just had a unique voice. He had a unique rap style. And I'm not sure how I got him to the studio, but one day, I think I seen him or my management seen him, and we was like, yo, we need to get you to come to the studio and drop 16. And that was my main thing. Come to the studio and drop 16 on this mixtape. And one day he took the offer. He was like, yo, give me your number. I'm going to call you. And he called me, and next thing you know, he was like, where you at? And I told him where I was at. And he came up, and he did a song. He did 16 for me. And then after that, we started hanging out time to time. You know, he would come up to the Polo Ground Projects where I was from. Then he would come to my studio. My studio was on Riverside. And, time to time we would hang out. We would do parties. He would perform at parties. We would, those type of things. And that's how I met Biggie.
This is a Jmix exclusive.
What up, shut up?